Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for doing session practice. As many of you have shared with me, it is not fun and it is not necessarily a pleasant experience. But as I think we all know, that's where the magic happens in our discomfort, in our resistance. Yeah, so I'll just continue. I've been talking this week about a bunch of koans. For those who don't know, koans are like short stories or parables that have been passed down for hundreds or even thousands of years. And in our tradition, you work with a teacher on koans to kind of, squeeze the juice out of them, so to speak, and we have a whole like formal curriculum of them. So on Wednesday, I spoke about a koan from the first 200 miscellaneous koans. And then Thursday, I talked about a koan from the Muman Khan, or the Gateless Gate. And then yesterday, I spoke about a koan from the Blue Cliff Record, which, disclaimer, I hope anyone who watches yesterday's video on YouTube watches this video too, because I was very wrong about something. That was actually compiled by Secho, who was an 11th century person, not Hakuin, the 19th century person. That was totally brain fart, so to speak. So it's clarifying. Uh, yes. And then so today, the next book that we study is in Japanese, the Shoyo Roku, or in English, the Book of Equanimity. Um, and this was compiled by some guy I actually hadn't heard of, Wanshi Shokoku or something like that. Where is it? Wanshi Shokaku, also in the 12th century. So, Book of Equanimity, equanimity, being equanimous, manifesting equanimity, harmony. Um, in Tibetan Buddhism, there's the Ratna family. There's like 5 Buddha families, and the Ratna family is all about abundance. Ratna Shambhasa is the Buddha of the Ratna family. Ratna Sambhava? Ratna Anyway, and they use the word equanimity kind of interchangeably with abundance and generosity. I thought that was interesting. That with our equanimity comes just a general sense of abundance. I think that's nice. Anyway, so the idea being, as we penetrate these stories and get to the bottom of them, we kind of start to cultivate equanimity. So, in the author of this particular book is a recent, still living American Zen guy named Shishin Wick Roshi. He's in Colorado right now. He's got a sweet little place up in the mountains. And he's a great writer and a great teacher. And I wanted to read what he wrote about koans in general in his introduction. I love cheating in Dharma talks. Just take other people's words. Like, how easy does it get? So he says, in Zen training, koans are used to liberate students from their rigid, restrictive ways of viewing themselves and the world around them, and to open their eye of wisdom. And the deeper you get in these koans, you realize how deep and how subtle that rigidity goes. We'll never, ever know the true extent to how rigid and conditioned our perspective is. And that's why this is a continuous practice, continually revealing how many places we hold on to our beliefs, our conditioning, even our trauma. That gets a little bit stickier, how to deal with it. But yeah, just to say that the hunt for the places that we are rigid and holding on really could go on for lifetimes. He goes on. Um, some say Zen masters use koans to blow their students' minds. In Zen, koans are usually a record of dialogues between a Zen master and his student, their student. They could be a section from a sutra, or a piece of Zen liturgy, or just a statement by a Zen master. In the field of law, prior legal cases and decisions set precedents for how to evaluate current cases. In a somewhat analogous way, we can use koans to test our understanding against the expressions and actions of the ancient masters. So that's the cool thing, right? Like a lot of these stories are hundreds or thousands of years old. Some of the old sutra excerpts are literally thousands of years old. And the essence of them is just 100% alive today and 100% applicable, digestible, manifestable in our everyday life here in National City in 2025. That's what's so beautiful about them. Okay, that's enough. So yeah, that's what he says about koans. Um, and like I've said before, there are many Zen masters throughout time who say that koans are just, playing games with students, and they're kind of these useless puzzles that can be used to be manipulative, and it's really all just about just sitting. And there are other Zen masters who say, if you don't do koans, then you're just wasting your time, and they're the only things that can really jog you out of your rigid, stuck places. Um, so there you go. Who knows? Um, my training is in koans, and I do think that they are pretty special. There is nothing like them other than every moment of your life, I suppose. But that practice of formally penetrating and expressing these koans with a teacher that you trust is really one of the most intimate ways to penetrate this thing we call life. So I thought we'd do something a little fun today because I couldn't decide. So we'll take a little vote. Do we want to hear about a rabbit, or do we want to hear about subjective and objective thinking? Who says rabbit? Who says subjective and objective thinking? All right. Oh, Jay, I didn't get you. Rabbit? Subjective, objective thinking? Rabbit. Okay. But tricks are for kids. No one? Really?
And Zen teachers.
And Zen teachers, yes. Okay. When Mishihaku was accompanying Tozan, he saw a white rabbit run across in front of them. Mishihaku said, "How swift!" And Tozan said, "In what way?" Mishihaku replied, "It's like a commoner being appointed magistrate." And Tozan chided, "As great and experienced a person as you, using such words." Mishihaku said, "Well, how about you?" Tozan said, "The ancestor's crown has sunk low for a time." Super clear, right? Right? No? Anyone? All right, let's take a look. So Mishihaku was accompanying Tozan. So this already we kind of can get a dynamic, that language accompanying Tozan. Tozan is his teacher, and it's very common for um, students, particularly like senior students who have been around for a while, to be like an attendant to their teacher. Um, Not just in the Zendo and doing things, but just like being out in the world. Um, Not because we show obsequiousness to the teacher, but because that's really where a lot of this kind of work goes on, this transmission of the enlightened Buddha mind seal, however you want to say it. A lot of this student teacher work happens just going to the store or taking a walk. Very important to also have that kind of closeness in addition to being in the Zendo. If you're trying to, receive the lineage and be a lineage holder. So they're walking, and a white rabbit runs across in front of them. So just, part of working with koans is really putting yourself in that situation. So here you are talking about whatever, and all of a sudden, this little thing. And, we talk about rabbits' feet and rabbits being good luck and stuff. So, in a way, this kind of flash, right? Isn't that a thing? Rabbits being good luck? I think, yeah, that's a thing. Um, so, this rabbit can be a number of things. And of course, these koans are full of metaphors and just opportunities for us to dig in. Um, so, I think most likely, if we look at the koan, this is kind of pointing to enlightenment. This flash of enlightenment, this flash of awakening, this aha moment, this experience of just dropping off your body and your mind and just melting into the oneness of everything. Just in this brief moment, just like when the Buddha looked up and saw the morning star and just had that moment of, all there ever was just this one thing. The rabbit is also talked about as our mind, right? How quick our mind changes and darts around, and we want, this way, and then we're that way, and we think this thing, and then we think that thing, and we're always changing, right? It's so quick. So the rabbit comes out, and Mishi Haku says, "How swift." Um, Talking about, yeah, this moment of beauty, this moment of luck, this moment of awakening. How quick, in a flash, it's gone. Um, and then Tozan says, in what way? Right? So this is like we're already getting into a really kind of adept spiritual conversation. We're not just talking about a rabbit running fast, right? Just with that one phrase, how swift, he's taking it to a whole other level. Not a level, but he's taking it to a personal place. Tozan goes there with him, and he furthers this conversation. Like, in what way? What do you mean, swift? Um, or they're kind of maybe on the same page talking about enlightenment. And of course, what is enlightenment? A rabbit running across your path, an air conditioner going on and off, uh, pain in your back. Just your life as it is completely awakened. And, the big mistake with our spiritual practice is thinking that there's somewhere else to go, some other thing to gain. some piece of wisdom, some piece of knowledge, some experience that will take me to some other plane or something. When really, it's just the cats in the garden and the rumble in my belly. Just about as ordinary as you can get. That to see that the oneness of the universe in every moment. That's the trick. There's nowhere else to go. This is it, y'all. And that's what sesshin really helps us see. If you come to sesshin thinking you'll get somewhere else or leave with some other kind of consciousness, you're going to be disappointed. Or you're going to have to lie to yourself, which a lot of people do. You know, people come to sesshin and then they leave just like, you know, with, shroomy eyes, just like, I now see everything. Um, they got that Zen sickness, what we say. No, this is just about being ordinary. Um, anyway, we'll get to that in a bit. So yeah, Tozan is going there. They're having this personal kind of spiritual dialogue, and so he's like, "In what way? Tell me about this swift enlightenment. What is enlightenment?" That's what I think he's asking. Tell me about enlightenment. And Mishihaku says it's like a commoner being appointed magistrate. So that's nice. It's okay. Um, just as we are, common, ordinary folk, um, to have that experience of oneness, that experience of dropping off, letting go of our rigidity. It's like we become kings. It's the best thing. Just in our ordinariness, we become magistrates. Yeah, and in a way, like that's cool. That's a nice expression. Um, you may have had that experience this week, today, sometime in your life. Um, you really just see that just this sunset or just this connection with somebody, doing something totally ordinary, can really just shine with this brilliance of God. And you feel like a magistrate in the most ordinary of circumstances. But then Tozan, always as a teacher, always tries to highlight a blind spot or try to get us out of our rigidity. He kind of pokes at Mishi and says, "As great and experienced a person as you using such words." Um, so, yeah, the Zen style is weird and it's really not for everybody. Um, but, to really, there's a lot of tough love in a lot of these stories. There's a lot of, getting us to second guess ourselves, to open up to another potential, right? This enlightenment practice is all about not staying anywhere, not holding on to any kind of special experience or any kind of wisdom or, it's so different from our TikTok spirituality that we have today, which is all about just feeding you things to make you feel better today. And you write them down and you put them on your mirror and, just pray that it keeps making you feel good. I don't know. And it does a lot of good for people, right? There is a lot of healing that happens through that kind of modality. And so I don't want to like knock it super hard, but in this pursuit of no self, really getting in touch with our absolute essence, it is the most important thing to have a mind of not knowing. and to, like I said, hunt out all the places where we want to hang on. So, yeah, so he's kind of poking him a little bit. As wonderful as you are, you're talking all this bullshit about being a magistrate and, oh, it's so special when you get enlightened. And so Mishi says, all right, well, what about you? What do you say about enlightenment? And Tozan says, the ancestor's crown has sunk low for a time. Or there's another translation I like that says, this is the translation of the same sentence. I have no idea. But that translation says, um, a noble of an ancient house temporarily falls into poverty. Isn't that interesting? The same exact characters translated completely differently, but same principle. Someone great coming down. So Mishi says it's like someone ordinary coming up. And Tozan's like, what you talking about? It's like someone really up coming down. And I just love that so much. And I think it's so much more instructive and actually, ironically, maybe inspiring that this practice of enlightenment isn't about becoming great, becoming a king, becoming a great person, a better person, a shiny person. It's actually about being ordinary, having little, saying little, um, really, falling into poverty, having nothing, holding on to nothing. A lot of people in these spiritual circles, they talk about, I want to be my best self. I want to vibrate at a higher level. And in my opinion, in my experience, if you really want to taste freedom and you really want to live a life of compassion, then invite being your lowest self. Invite your shadow. Invite your ordinariness. Embrace your insecurity and your pain. And and realize that this isn't about you. This isn't about you and your greatness. This is about being a servant to the world. That's what this whole selflessness thing is. When you taste selflessness, and I know we all have, and you taste freedom from all of our rigidity, then it's not about being great or being this or being that. It's just, you just engage with the ordinary world with a compassionate heart without even thinking about it. So, yeah, so I like this part, this ancestor's crown or the noble of an ancient house. Because yeah, intrinsically, as we are, is Buddha. Our true nature, intrinsically, innately, is vast and shining and Buddha and free of suffering. That's our essential nature, whether we see it or not. And this practice allows us to come down from that essential nature and just be ordinary. Just be ordinary. I don't know if that makes any sense. Um, and so, it's not supposed to, right? As you said in the beginning, these are literally designed to break our dualistic thinking. So, do we want to be a magistrate? Do we want to be in poverty? Is poverty good? Is ordinary good? Is enlightenment good? is the interest. There's all these ways that our mind wants to like categorize all of these things, but when we work with these koans, it really is about just shattering all of our conceptions of good and bad and right and wrong. So, you know, to see Tozan's interpretation as the better one isn't really the point. The point is for us ourselves to get intimate with swiftness, rabbits, ordinariness, feeling holy, falling into poverty, honoring the ancestors. All of the things that come up in these koans are for us to just chew and chew and chew and chew so that we can actually be alive and move with all of these concepts and practices as they come up in our life, right? So an intimacy with lowness and highness is really the point. So I don't, it's not that we should take away that, I should be low, I should be in poverty, I shouldn't think of myself as a magistrate. It's not really about that. It's about seeing, where am I holding on? When do I want to be a king? How do I put myself in poverty needlessly? When do I enter into poverty freely? Just create that relationship with all of these aspects of yourself, and the rabbit will reveal itself. Thank you all for listening.